So when he turned 6, we wanted to get him involved in a sport. And any of you that are parents, you know, sports are great teaching tools. They teach kids about leadership. They talk about competition, respect, you know, all the sportsmanship stuff, and having to follow the coach and all that kind of thing, and discipline. So we wanted to get him involved in a sport. At 6 years old, though, there are very few sports, I believe, that are really encouraging to kids. Now that I know this later, I know that soccer is the sport to get little kids in. Soccer is the sport. You only have to know 2 things. You only have to run and kick. That is it. And that's easy for a 6-year-old. But we weren't involved in soccer at the time, so we didn't really think about that. And so we were looking at other things. And one day we were walking to the grocery store. We passed by a karate studio. Now, this is the greatest marketing in the world. Because you walk by the window and a kid walks by and looks in and see all these other kids kicking and hitting other kids. And my son's like, I want to do that. You know, I want to do that. So we said, okay. So we got him signed up. 6 months after he got involved in the studio, the director comes to us and said, we would like for Ryan to participate in the tournament we have coming up. And immediately my wife and I both said, no. Ryan's a very shy child. He would be very nervous about that. If he didn't do well, he might want to quit. He just wouldn't be the kind of kid that would want to get in this early. And the director said, no, listen, here's what we did. We matched them up with kids of their own skill level. We won't put him next to somebody who's way better. It'll be somebody with the same skills. And secondly, every kid gets an award. And that way we think it encourages them to want to continue to compete. So we thought about it. We thought, well, you know, that might actually work. That might be good for him. So we signed him up for it. And what he had to do, any of you that have ever taken karate or had kids that take karate, he had to do forms. Now, the forms are very simply a series of punches, kicks, and blocks in a certain sequence that takes about a minute. So he had to learn that routine and then perform it correctly. And so we worked with him every night as he worked on these forms. And the day of the tournament came, and we walked into the tournament to the studio where the tournament was being held. If you can imagine, half this room was about the size of the studio. The floor is covered with mats. And as we went in, all 3 of the other walls were mirrors in the room. And then the parents were seated on the floor in front of the mirrors. And so my son comes in. The first thing he does, he looks around the room and says, who are all those people sitting behind the parents? Okay, he gets that from me. I'm not ashamed, all right? So we walk in, and here's the routine. There is a piece of white tape in the middle of the floor. And the child, when their name is announced, comes out, stands on the white tape, and bows to the 3 judges that are judging the competition. They wait there still, perfectly still, until the judges tell them to begin. Then when they begin, they go through their forms. When they complete the routine, they go back to the white tape, they bow a second time, and stand perfectly still until the judges announce the score. And then they are dismissed. The child bows a 3rd time and goes back to his or her seat. Now, we are watching this, and we're thinking, there is no way. I mean, he had a hard time following the whole forms routine, and we went over that a lot. This is brand new. He's not going to remember all this. And we started to get sweaty. We started to get nervous. We were looking for an exit. I'll tell you what we were doing. We just thought he was not going to do well, and he was going to freak out. We didn't know what was going to happen. But we sat there just as nervous as we could be, and they announced his name, Ryan Culberson. So Ryan remembers. He walks out to the white tape. He bows to the judges, stands perfectly still. They tell him to begin his routine. He went through his routine. Now, I am not objective. Flawless. He had never done them this well. We were just shocked. He did them so well. And he goes back. He remembers to go back to the white tape. When he was done, he bowed after he was done, stood perfectly still, at attention. The judges tabulate the score. They announce the score. They dismiss him. And at that point, my 6-year-old son, Ryan, bows a 3rd time and goes back to his seat like this. We were so proud. And I'm thinking, you know, what must be going through his mind? I figured it out later. When I look back, I figured out what he was thinking. He's going, oh, yeah, I can buckle down and be serious, but only for a few minutes. And then I got to get back to being a kid. And look how different that is from us. We're the ones going, oh, I got to quit goofing off and get back to work.